Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am really glad you're here. So is Chloe, she just jumped in my lap. Today's date is Saturday, June 24th, 2023. This video is going to be a little different. I don't have a share screen with a compilation for you. I had a viewer who very graciously said that I could use a question she had privately asked me in a video, and I want to do it because it was a very important one. It was a beautiful one. This is a non-denominational discussion and tarot read, just so you know. We're going to be talking about ascension, and that's why I wanted to make it clear that this is a non-denominational conversation, me with you. You see, different faith practices have different views on what a big event that truly changes our reality is going to look like. Many Christians believe in an event called the Rapture, where those who are saved by their faith in Jesus Christ are going to be rising in the air to meet him. And there's scripture that backs that. Yes, scripture that's been, manipulated by men over the years, but still, I believe that our loving Creator doesn't allow for all his truth to be removed. I think there would have been a big intervention there. So there's some merit to that theory, absolutely. Now, there's people that are just simply spiritual in nature, and they're hearing a lot of different theories on ascension. They're hearing that there's parallel Earths that will move to a new timeline, that will be still on what looks like Earth, that people that were ready to ascend will be on a mirrored Earth, that they'll kind of forget us, that some of them, kids certain ages, come with us. It gets really complicated, the theories that are out there. When you just look at what people that are spiritually searching and have feel like they found an answer that rings true, resonates with them, what they think is going to happen. But what many faith practices have is a belief that we are coming upon a time when there will be some sort of big event. That's why usually in my tarot reads, I just refer to it as a sky event when I see indications of something like that coming closer to us. Because the one thing I've always said is prophecy, whether it's from just a spiritual prophet to someone that channels to scripture, prophecy always fulfills in very surprising ways. So let's look at the common thread here. The common thread is among a lot of those theories is that there is going to be some sort of shift or change in our plane of existence. That's the common thread. And the beautiful question that I was asked was, how do I prepare my children and loved ones for my transition? Because this viewer truly feels like he or she is getting ready to make a jump, make a change when one happens. And, oftentimes too, when we leave this world, that's called a transition. So maybe you've got a health problem that you don't think is going to enable you to stay here until good healing technologies are readily available and you could have healing. Transitions are going to happen. There's going to be changes of some sort as events unfold the way our loving Creator has planned and unfold. And like I said, all I know is they're going to unfold in surprising ways. That's the one constant, besides on that end of things. On the people end of things, the recurring theme is that some kind of event that changes our reality is looming closer and closer, that nothing can stop what is coming. And then on the other hand is just the very truth that throughout man's history, prophecy gets fulfilled in surprising ways. Now, I'm hoping to meet any changes in our reality or however these events unfold with gratitude and joy and awe. and just be thankful that I'm there for the event. But my viewer wanted to know, how do I prepare my family? Now, the reality is, especially with those of us awake, not everybody's on the same page. Even just in traditional households, that are still, involved in traditional faith practices, things like that, there's a range of beliefs, and and also a range of readiness for change as it occurs. So let's ask the cards a non-denominational question to the universe. Okay. Those of us who love and care for others, who may not be where we are as far as readiness for some sort of transition, how can we prepare them? What advice does the universe have for us to help our loved ones? What can we do now? What advice does the universe have? And again, this is a non-denominational question, so I'm not asking it from a Christian standpoint, an ascended master standpoint, spiritual, anything else. I'm just saying, if a big event does change our reality, and we feel in our heart that we're ready to be part of that change, and we also feel in our heart that we love others who might not be, what's the advice from the universe? Let's find out together, because I think it's a really important question to ask. So our question is, regardless of our faith practice, if we feel like we have loved ones who may in some form or fashion be left behind when our world changes or our health changes, what can we do to prepare those loved ones as much as possible? What advice and insights does the universe have for us? There has to be some common threads, things we can do. And hey, if you're lucky enough to love someone, have a heart that's not a heart of stone, good for you. Okay, our first card is the Five of Swords, King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, the Hierophant, Ace of Pentacles, Four of Swords, Queen of Wands. I will tell you what I'm getting intuitively from the cards here, and then I'll point out the elements of the cards that led me to those statements. Now, a lot of what I'm getting here is that, first of all, it's a prudent question to be asking, that we're wise to ask this. And overall, I'm seeing that our advice is to honor the belief systems of those we love and try to frame any readiness comments or actions we have in ways that they will be able to accept, absorb, and internalize. Some of the cards here are just really beautiful with what they say. First of all, we have our question is indicated by the Five of Swords. Now, fives are temporary situations, so that's just already a reminder to us that any separation we do have is temporary in nature, because everyone is on a path towards the light. They're just taking it at different speeds. So if we do end up leaving someone behind at some point, they are going to catch up with us. They absolutely are. The King of Pentacles tells us a little more about that, because he's a faithful provider, okay? And about generosity and sovereignty. So again, we need to be very generous and loving with those who aren't as ready as much as possible. I mean, sometimes they can be cantankerous and they call you a conspiracy theorist or a religious fanatic or whatever, or you're trying to share that you have a diagnosis that's difficult and they dismiss it. So what do? You just keep loving them with all your heart and be as generous as possible, because that's what'll get you rewarded in the long run. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, for the recent past, is a card that always indicates stability and good planning. So you're getting advised, first of all, to be thinking about this. Think of those loved ones you have, and then take some prudent steps, to, if you can't ready them now with words and actions, maybe you can by making sure you've got your bequests all very neatly laid out. Maybe you leave a love letter to each person that you love that says, if I'm no longer here for some reason, especially a sudden departure, here's what I wanted you to know. And then tell them how you felt about them, how you wish they'd gone with you, but that ultimately, you'll be together. Be sure to outline that. And if you have steps according to your faith practice that you feel need to be followed for them to follow you at some point, be sure to outline that too. I mean, honor those faith systems, especially if they're ones you hold dear. If not, then honor theirs as much as you can and say, I'd love to have you join me at some point. I hope I truly believe this separation is temporary. And here's what I think might help us be together again soon. And then the Ace of Pentacles, looking at advice and looking forward. The Ace of Pentacles is a beautiful card. First of all, about manifestation and contentment. So if we, watching this, are among those who will be taking part in whatever this sky event or ascension event happens, it's going to be something beautiful. I love that this Ace of Pentacles is actually in the sky. It's being held by clouds. And it's definitely a card of contentment. And if you look, there's a path going through a gate here, into some new territory and lands, and it just looks beautiful and inviting. So there's nothing to fear as far as events that are going to unfold that truly involve some sort of an ascension, some sort of a reality shift and change. Nothing to fear, nothing. Now, let's look at some insights and advice we have, because we've talked about, honoring faith practices as much as possible. And if they mirror ours, then especially, but if not, just be respectful of them. And then nothing to fear. Now, the Four of Swords is telling us, first of all, that those of us that are trying to take these steps to prepare loved ones, especially if we're thinking about preparing them and we're not here to do it ourselves, that's beautiful to do that. Okay, there's some hidden blessings that are coming our way for that. Absolutely. And I'm not getting that this is something that has to be done today, this weekend, but don't dilly-dally about it. Okay, because we don't know, we don't know what day, what hour it's going to happen, So depending on your faith practice, they've thought soon for 2,000 plus years in some cases. And for some people that are waking up, it's going to happen, within months of their waking up. Who knows? So if you need to make arrangements or write some letters or put some notes on things or make those lists of, please make sure this one gets that and this one gets that, and here's how I think you can all end up where I'm going, be sure to do that. Okay. The Queen of Wands is a card of optimism, and that's great because she's self-mastery too. So she has mastered all the skills and abilities that she needs to have for her position. And that's telling us when we go, it's going to be a case of, we have skills that we'll be drawing on, that we're actually growing right now, that we're opening ourselves up to. And those are the beautiful things to do. Let's get two more cards and look for advice. Again, this was non-denominational advice for those of us who may be ready for an ascension event, a sky event, some sort of a life-changing, reality-changing event, and what we can do and readiness we can have for those that won't be quite as far along and ready as we are. Okay, we got the Three of Wands and the Knight of Swords. Three of Wands talks about a new path, starting off on a new path in faith and with a very clear vision. So even though we don't know when this event's going to happen, it's going to be very clear that it has, and the way forward is going to be very obvious. There's not going to be a lot of mystery. Okay, now those we leave behind might be dazed and confused, and that's why having these thoughts of how can I get them ready? What could I say? What could I write that would help them to understand what's happened? Okay, and then the Knight of Swords kind of talks about some swiftly moving events, and this isn't a political read, so we're not going to read anything political into the Knight of Swords at all. What we can read into it, though, is that the Knight of Swords usually talks about discovery and swiftly moving events. So again, we don't know the day, we don't know the hour. When it happens, it's going to happen fast. So now's the time to be thinking of what can I do? How can I get, if people aren't ready to hear it, that just may be where they are as far as their readiness, their mental readiness, their resilience, their life contract, whatever that might be. So let's honor that. But what if you suddenly disappear or you're transformed in some way? I mean, how can you get your loved ones ready? So do it verbally as much as you can. Do it in writing if possible. Leave some video behind. Hey, if I disappeared suddenly in 2023, here's what might have happened, and here's why I think it did. And here's the things I did to get ready for it. So again, we don't know how it's going to unfold. I've heard theories where those of us in 5D will still be able to see 3D, that there's alternate Earths. I've heard all sorts of things, but I know that not everybody I love is where I am as far as faith practice and belief. And so I thought this was a beautiful topic to address. And we've got some reassuring cards here that, whatever this change is when it happens, it's going to happen fast, but it's going to be beautiful. And we're already being readied for it. So I love that. So I don't want to minimize anybody's concern or worries. I have faced heart-wrenching decisions in my life and had to accept that there were differing paths no matter what I did or said with some people I dearly loved. And I can't imagine what that's going to be like if it was someone you were close to wasn't ready, who, I just can't. So we need to do what we can to help grow the people around us as much as they are willing to grow. They have free will. And then we can take some steps where we can go, hey, at least I left them the thoughts of reading and watching this, mulling this concept, left them a letter telling them I loved them, did a video that is waiting for them to open up, whatever that might be. That'll help you, give you peace of mind that you've done everything you could, that they were receptive to verbally, and you've done some other preparation besides that. So some little Easter eggs and those little hidden gems that you can have that readiness. So just a real quick verbal recap. I'm not going to hold up a lot of cards. We were looking at a non-denominational advice from the universe and insights on those who feel like they're getting ready to take part in some sort of a big event that truly changes the very foundation of our world and the makeup of it and composition of it and what have you, however that ends up unfolding. Those of us that love people that we know aren't quite there, that are in denial or following a different path or lost in addictions or whatever that might be, what advice did the universe have? And the universe gave some pretty practical advice, actually. It said, first of all, that honor that person's faith practice. Don't come at them from such a strange angle that they can't wrap their brain around it. Now, if their belief system is truly the opposite of yours, just be respectful of theirs. You don't have to pretend like you believe what they believe. All right. Evidence is going to show when they're not where you are, that somebody went somewhere that they weren't ready for. So, and then a reminder from the universe that any separations we have our truly temporary nature when you think of things with a lens that's universal and eternal. And just a reassurance that even though when things happen, they're going to happen really fast, we've actually become more ready for them than you would probably give yourself credit for. But there are some steps we can do so that we can have some peace of mind that, well, I not only, when they wouldn't listen, I did this. I left behind this recording. I left behind this video. You know, whatever that might be, so that, you know, my loved ones can learn what I learned, even if they don't learn it when I learned it. So that's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention, and also for your tolerance of me taking such a broad scope look at this. I wanted it to truly be non-denominational, because I don't think any events are going to be specific to a denomination, but have more to do with our personal readiness for that event, however that readiness needs to look. And I didn't want to alienate anybody, because we have a big and loving creator, and he's bigger and more loving than we give him credit for, or her. So until next time, write those letters, make those videos, and I send you love and light and wish you everything bright. Bye.